Lena Sanchez had always been a girl of modest means, but her heart was as wide as the city she called home. She worked long hours at a local bookstore, juggling responsibilities, managing bookshelves, and taking care of her younger brother, Jamie. He had been the center of her world ever since their parents passed away in a car accident 5 years ago. The long hours were exhausting, but it was a life she had accepted, carrying on with quiet strength and life in the city wasn't easy, especially when you had so little, but Lena made do. That evening, after a 12-hour shift, Lena was finally on her way home. She was tired, her boots clicking rhythmically on the wet sidewalk, the remnants of a late autumn rain splashing up around her feet. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow across the horizon, but Lena barely noticed. She had other things on her mind, like the simple fact that she had yet to eat a proper meal that day. Her younger brother, Jamie, had called earlier, reminding her to eat something decent and not resort to yet another bowl of instant noodles. "Did you eat dinner, sis? Don't tell me it's those noodles again." Lena had laughed, a weary smile on her lips, even though her stomach was growling. "I'm fine, Jamie. Just a sandwich. I'll grab something when I get home." Her feet ached, but the thought of getting to her small apartment and finally sitting down to relax pushed her forward. As she walked, her mind wandered to the usual worries: rent, bills, and whether she could scrape together enough for groceries next week. But as she turned the corner onto 9th Street, something caught her eye. A black leather wallet lay on the sidewalk, half hidden by a pile of wet leaves. It looked too sleek and expensive to belong to someone who might drop it carelessly. Lena hesitated for a moment, glancing around to see if anyone was nearby. The street was quiet, with no one in sight. She crouched down, picked up the wallet, and opened it carefully. The contents were stunning. It wasn't just cash. There were hundreds of crisp bills, a few shiny credit cards, and an ID card. Nathan Hale. Yo. Lena's heart skipped a beat. Nathan Hale. She had heard the name before. He was the founder and CEO of Hale Innovations, one of the wealthiest tech companies in the city. He was young, ambitious, and rich beyond measure. The last person Lena could imagine losing a wallet. She paused, the temptation to keep the money gnawing at her. Her rent was due soon. She could pay off some debts, help Jamie with his college fund. But as her fingers brushed the bills, a small voice in her head reminded her of something important. It wasn't hers. With a deep sigh, Lena closed the wallet and stood up. She was honest, even if the world didn't always reward it. Lena tucked the wallet into her tote bag and continued walking. The thought of keeping the money disappeared almost as quickly as it had come. But as she made her way to Hale Innovations, a feeling of unease settled in her stomach. The building was imposing. Glass and steel reflected the sun, making the entire structure look like something from another world. To Lena, it seemed both magnificent and intimidating, a place where people like her, ordinary struggling, had no place. But she wasn't there to admire the architecture. She was there to return a lost wallet. She entered the lobby, where sleek marble floors and polished chrome greeted her. The receptionist, a young woman in a red blazer with sharp features, looked up from her desk with a raised eyebrow as Lena approached. "Hi," Lena said, nervously clutching the wallet. "I found this wallet outside. I think it belongs to Mr. Nathan Hale." The receptionist's eyes flicked to the wallet and then back to Lena's face, as if measuring her worth in seconds. "Nathan Hale?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Are you sure?" "Yes." Lena nodded. "It's his ID." The receptionist stood, then walked toward the back office, leaving Lena to stand awkwardly in the lobby. Lena's eyes darted around the room, taking in the gleaming floors and shiny surfaces. It felt like a different world altogether, a world she had no part in. Moments later, the receptionist returned with a smile. "Mr. Hale's busy, but I'll make sure he gets this." She took the wallet from Lena without hesitation, barely acknowledging her. "Thanks for returning it," she said, sounding more like it was a formality than a genuine expression of gratitude. Lena hesitated, but she had done her part. "You're welcome," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. With nothing more to say, Lena turned to leave. But as she exited the building, a part of her felt unsettled. What if the money wasn't returned? What if they just kept it? The next morning, Lena was back to her usual routine. But she couldn't shake the nagging feeling about the wallet. The more she thought about it, the more frustrated she became. She had done the right thing, hadn't she? She hadn't taken a penny, hadn't even thought about it. But what if the person who received the wallet wasn't as honest as she was? Later that day, as she was taking a quick break at the bookstore, her brother called again. "Hey sis, guess what? Nathan Hale's in the news," Jamie said, his voice full of excitement. "Apparently, some woman returned his wallet. They said she was super honest, and now the company's throwing her a huge thank you event." Lena's heart skipped a beat. A thank you event. She felt a chill run down her spine. It couldn't be. She knew the truth. Lena couldn't believe it. She had returned the wallet, done the right thing, and yet, now the story circulating was that someone else had taken credit for her honesty. It was around lunch when she first saw the news, on the bookstore's small television, playing in the corner above the cash register. The headline read, "Unknown woman returns CEO's lost wallet, receives recognition from Hale Innovations." Lena stared at the screen in disbelief. The camera zoomed in on the bright smile of a woman Lena didn't recognize, standing next to a handsome Nathan Hale. The woman was dressed in a sharp suit, holding the wallet in her hands like a trophy, her eyes sparkling with self-pride. Clara Matthews, the woman who returned Nathan Hale's lost wallet, was thanked publicly today by the CEO himself at a press conference. The newscaster's voice boomed. "Hale Innovations is donating a generous sum to her charity as a thank you for her honesty and integrity." Lena's heart sank. Clara Matthews. That name. Lena had seen it before, just moments before leaving Hale Innovations. Clara was the receptionist. She had taken the wallet from Lena without a second glance, and now she was basking in the spotlight. Lena felt betrayed, not just by the company but by the woman who had taken credit for something she hadn't done. But there was a deeper pain that gnawed at her, the fact that she felt invisible in the grand scheme of things. She was nobody, just another struggling soul in the city. While people like Clara, people with power, could take credit for acts they hadn't performed, the world would never know Lena's truth. Back at the office of Hale Innovations, Nathan Hale was seated behind his grand desk, a furrow of concern etched into his brow. The scene from the previous day, with Clara Matthews proudly accepting the praise for the wallet's return, had been hard for him to process. He'd been so busy with meetings and managing the company that he hadn't had time to even think about the wallet until Clara handed it over. But as he stared at it in his hands that day, something didn't sit right. He knew he had to find out who truly returned it. The idea of someone else taking credit gnawed at him, especially after hearing that the unknown woman who had returned his wallet was being celebrated across the city. Nathan was determined to discover the truth. He called his personal assistant, Emma, into his office. "Get me the footage from the lobby cameras yesterday." Emma, ever efficient, nodded and got to work immediately. Nathan's thoughts were a whirlwind. The more he replayed the event in his mind, the more he recalled the humble demeanor of the woman who had come in, and how she had seemed so uncomfortable in the posh surroundings of his corporate headquarters. The following day, Nathan stood in front of the bookstore where Lena worked. He had no idea why he was here. He just felt drawn to this place, as if something had been calling him. He watched through the large window as Lena greeted customers with a warm smile. Her hands moving quickly as she shelved books, her demeanor calm but tired. Nathan took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The bell above the door chimed, and Lena's head jerked up, her eyes widening when she saw the last person she expected to walk through the door. Nathan Hale. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked, trying to sound professional but feeling her heart race in her chest. Nathan smiled, but it was soft and almost apologetic. "I need to speak with you about something." "Important." Lena frowned, confused. "Is everything all right?" I need to ask you about the wallet," Nathan interrupted gently. "I know you returned it yesterday, but someone else took credit for it. And I want to know the truth." Lena's stomach twisted. She wanted to shout at him, to tell him everything that had happened. But instead, she forced herself to remain calm, her hands shaking as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Clara Matthews took the credit, didn't she?" Lena said quietly. "She's the receptionist at your company. She's the one who told the press she was the one who returned the wallet." Nathan's eyes narrowed, his expression serious. "That's not right." Lena felt a pang of relief that he wasn't just buying into the lie. But she also felt something else. Vulnerability. She had never imagined in her wildest dreams that the CEO of a tech empire would stand here, in the middle of her tiny bookstore, talking about her honesty. Nathan sat down at one of the small tables in the corner of the bookstore, leaning forward slightly. "Lena, I need to make this right. You're the one who returned my wallet. You deserve to be recognized for your actions." Lena's eyes widened in surprise. "You don't need to do that," she said quickly. "I just did what anyone should do. I don't need anything in return." But Nathan shook his head. "I don't care if you want recognition. What matters is that the right thing is done. And Clara, she needs to know that she can't steal someone else's moment like that." The next day, the headlines shifted. The story had evolved from a simple thank you to an exposé. Nathan Hale had gone public, confirming that Lena Sanchez, the honest woman from the bookstore, was the true person who had returned his lost wallet. He had issued a public apology to her for the misunderstanding and the deception that had occurred. The public's reaction was swift and overwhelming. People began to praise Lena's character, admiring her for her humility and honesty in a world where it was all too rare. Donations poured in from individuals who had been touched by her story. But the most surprising part, Nathan Hale, the young billionaire CEO, reached out to Lena personally to offer her a job opportunity at his company. Not as a receptionist, not as a low-level worker, but as a consultant for Hale Innovation's new corporate social responsibility program. It was an offer she couldn't believe, one that would change her life forever. Lena barely recognized the words on the screen in front of her. She sat at her cluttered kitchen table, her eyes scanning the email that had arrived just a few hours ago. The subject line read, "Nathan Hale, job opportunity." She had stared at it for a long moment, unsure if it was real. But the details in the email were clear and undeniable. Nathan Hale himself was offering her a position as a consultant for Hale Innovations, a company she had once believed was completely out of her reach. The terms were incredible: a competitive salary, health benefits, and even relocation options to work closer to the headquarters if she chose to. And to top it all off, the role would focus on the company's corporate social responsibility initiatives, a cause close to her heart, as she had always tried to make her small corner of the world a better place. But with the excitement came uncertainty. What if she wasn't good enough for such a prestigious job? What if she wasn't the person Nathan thought she was after hearing her story? She had only ever worked in the bookstore, where every day was a struggle to get by. How could she fit into a world of billionaires and corporate giants? "Are you really going to turn this down, Lena?" she muttered to herself. "You've worked hard your whole life for a chance like this." But just as the doubts crept in, she heard a soft knock at her door. It was Jamie, her younger brother, standing in the hallway with a bright smile on his face. "I saw the news. You're famous now, sis." Lena laughed nervously, shaking her head. "I don't know about famous, but this job offer is, well, it's unreal. I don't know what to do." Jamie took a seat across from her, his eyes serious. "You've been stuck in this rut for years, working just to survive. This is a chance for you to finally live your dream. And besides, you deserve it, Lena. You've always done the right thing." Lena met his gaze, her heart swelling with emotion. Jamie had always been there for her, even when life seemed impossible. His encouragement meant everything. "But what about you?" Lena asked softly. "What about your school? I don't want to leave you behind." Jamie grinned. "You've been my mom, my dad, my everything. If you're moving forward, I'm supporting you 100%. You deserve this, Lena." The next week, Lena stood in front of Hale Innovation's towering headquarters once again. But this time she wasn't just an anonymous figure passing by. She was part of the company, officially. As she walked into the grand lobby, her heart pounded in her chest. She had been preparing for this moment for days, going over every detail, mentally rehearsing what to say, how to act, even what to wear. But now that she was here, the nerves came flooding back. "You belong here," she whispered to herself, straightening her blouse and adjusting her bag. The receptionist, who had been the one to falsely take credit for returning the wallet, looked up with a surprised expression as Lena walked through the door. She wasn't sure what Clara's reaction would be, but Lena simply smiled politely. "Good morning," Lena said. "I'm here to see Mr. Hale." Clara seemed flustered for a moment, her eyes flickering between Lena and the schedule in front of her. "I'm sorry, who are you?" "Lena Sanchez," Lena replied calmly. "I'm here for my first day. I've been offered the position of consultant for the CSR program." Clara's eyes widened, and it was clear that she was struggling to contain her surprise. But Lena didn't wait for her to say anything more. She moved forward, heading straight for the elevator. Nathan was waiting for her on the top floor, his usual composed demeanor softened by the slight curve of a smile on his lips when she entered. "Welcome to Hale Innovations, Lena," Nathan said warmly, rising from his chair to greet her. "I'm glad you could join us." Lena felt a wave of gratitude flood through her. This wasn't just a job. It was an opportunity to make a difference. She wasn't just another cog in the machine. She was here because Nathan believed in her integrity and honesty. As the days passed, Lena immersed herself in the work at Hale Innovations. Her role as a consultant for the CSR program allowed her to develop projects that supported various causes, like education for underprivileged children, environmental conservation, and healthcare initiatives. Her ideas were fresh and innovative, and Nathan quickly took note of her talents. They began working closely together on several high-profile projects, and it didn't take long for their professional relationship to grow into something more. Lena had never expected to feel so connected to Nathan, but there was something about his presence that made her feel at ease. He was intelligent, kind, and genuinely passionate about the initiatives they were working on. And as they spent more time together, she began to see past his CEO persona. He was just a man who had made his way to the top, who still had dreams and vulnerabilities like anyone else. One evening, after a late meeting, Nathan walked Lena to her car. "You did great today," he said, his voice warm. "Your ideas are exactly what this company needs." Lena smiled, though she couldn't ignore the growing sense of attraction she felt whenever they were together. "Thanks, Nathan. That means a lot coming from you." They stood there for a moment, the air between them charged with unspoken words. Nathan hesitated, then took a step closer. "Lena, I know this might be unexpected," he began, his voice quiet but firm. "But I want you to know that I appreciate everything you've done, not just for the company but for me personally." Lena blinked, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you mean?" "I'm not sure how to say this," Nathan continued. His eyes locked onto hers. "But I feel something between us. Something more than just professional admiration." Lena's breath caught in her throat. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? Before she could respond, he gently reached out, cupping her face with his hand. "Lena," he whispered, leaning in slowly, "I want to be honest with you. I've fallen for you." Lena's heart fluttered as she realized she felt the same way. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to dream, to believe that maybe love could be a part of her story after all. A few weeks later, at an event for Hale Innovation's latest charity gala, Nathan and Lena shared their first official date. A quiet dinner at a rooftop restaurant, away from the world's prying eyes. Over candlelight, as the city buzzed beneath them, they talked about their pasts, their dreams, and the future. Lena felt more at home with Nathan than she had with anyone in years. Nathan's hand brushed against hers across the table. "I can't imagine my life without you in it," he said softly. "You've changed everything for me, Lena." Lena smiled, her heart full. "And you've changed mine." Lena had never felt more alive. Her career at Hale Innovations was thriving, and her relationship with Nathan was blossoming in ways she had never imagined. But just as everything seemed perfect, an unexpected challenge arose, one that would test her trust in herself, her values, and the love she had come to share with Nathan. One afternoon, as Lena was going over final details for a new CSR initiative, she received a phone call from an unfamiliar number. Hesitant, she answered the call. "Is this Ms. Lena Sanchez?" The voice on the other end asked, cold and formal. "Yes, this is Lena. This is Clara Matthews. I know about your relationship with Nathan Hale. And I know the real reason you're at Hale Innovations." Lena's heart sank. "What do you mean by that?" "Let's just say you're not the first woman Nathan's been with. I've seen how he works, and I'm not going to let you use him for your personal gain." Clara's voice dripped with contempt. Lena's stomach twisted. She had known there was tension between her and Clara, but this was something else entirely. "I'm not using Nathan," Lena replied, her voice firm. "I've earned my place at Hale Innovations, and Nathan and I are in a relationship based on trust and respect." Clara's laugh was bitter. "Trust me, Lena, people like Nathan don't fall for someone like you. Sooner or later, you'll get burned." Lena felt a wave of unease wash over her, but she quickly shook it off. Clara had no idea what she was talking about. Nathan wouldn't treat her like that. He wouldn't use her like Clara implied. Still, the seed of doubt lingered in her mind, and it wouldn't go away. That evening, Lena went to Nathan's apartment for dinner, as they had planned. She couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty, so she decided to voice her concerns. As Nathan set the table, Lena turned to him, her voice softer than she had intended. "Nathan, I need to ask you something." He paused, looking up at her, his brow furrowing with concern. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "Clara, she said some things today that bothered me. She seems to think that I'm using you, that I'm only with you for your status, for the company." Lena's voice faltered slightly as she spoke the words aloud. Nathan set down the plate he was holding and walked toward her, his expression intense but calm. "Lena, I want you to know something. You mean more to me than anything else. When I offered you that job, it wasn't because of your connection to me. It was because of you, your integrity, your heart, your drive. I would never use you, and I would never let anyone else treat you that way either. Lena's heart swelled with emotion. I believe you, Nathan. But even as she said the words, she couldn't shake the fear that had started to creep in. Clara had planted a seed of doubt, and she wasn't sure how to let go of it. Nathan, sensing her unease, gently cupped her face in his hands. I need you to trust me, Lena. I've never been more certain about anything in my life. You're the woman I want by my side, and nothing, not Clara, not anyone, can change that. Lena gazed into his eyes, seeing the sincerity in them. She had to trust him. I trust you, Nathan. Days passed, and the tension between Lena and Clara seemed to grow. Clara's attempts to undermine Lena only increased, but Nathan remained steadfast in his support of Lena. He even invited her to a board meeting, where she could present her ideas in front of the entire team at Hale Innovations. This was more than just a professional gesture. It was his way of showing Lena that she wasn't just his partner in business but also in life. During the meeting, as Lena stood before the executives, her voice strong and confident, she could feel Clara's gaze boring into her from across the room. Clara had been visibly uncomfortable with Lena's growing prominence, and the jealousy was clear. When the meeting ended, Nathan walked over to Lena, a proud smile on his face. You did amazing. Lena smiled back, her confidence growing with each passing day. Thanks, Nathan. This is all because of you. You gave me a chance when nobody else would. Nathan chuckled. You didn't need my help to prove yourself. You were amazing before I ever came into the picture. Lena felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She hadn't realized how much she had come to depend on his validation, but now she realized it wasn't just his approval that mattered. It was her own belief in herself. Just when Lena thought the worst was behind her, Clara made one final attempt to sabotage her. She fabricated a story about Lena's intentions, spreading rumors that Lena had been using her connection to Nathan to land high-profile clients for her own personal benefit. Lena was devastated. It felt like a betrayal, especially from someone who had never been anything but kind to her. Nathan, however, was determined to make things right. He immediately called a company-wide meeting, where he addressed the rumors head-on. There's been a lot of speculation about Lena and her intentions, Nathan began, his voice firm. Let me be clear. Lena is an invaluable part of this company. She's here because she earned her place, not because of me. The rumors that have been circulating are completely false, and I stand by Lena. The room was silent for a moment before a few employees began to clap. Nathan's words had shattered the lies that Clara had tried to spread, and Lena's place at Hale Innovations was solidified. But it wasn't just the company's approval that mattered to Lena. It was Nathan's unwavering support, his belief in her. He had fought for her, and in that moment, Lena realized that she didn't need to prove herself to anyone. Not to Clara, not to anyone except herself. A few months later, Lena stood by Nathan's side at the grand opening of a new Hale Innovations charity initiative. The event was a success, and the media coverage was glowing. Nathan turned to Lena as they walked out of the venue together. You were incredible today, he said softly. I couldn't have done this without you. Lena smiled, her heart full of love. We did it together, Nathan. As they stood outside, the cool evening air enveloped them, and Nathan reached for her hand. I don't know where my life would be without you in it, he said quietly. But I know that it's better with you by my side. Lena squeezed his hand, her heart swelling with emotion. I feel the same way. And in that moment, Lena realized that she had not only found success but also true love. The kind of love that was built on trust, honesty, and the belief that two people could change the world together.